Okay, greetings everyone. So good to see you all from different parts of the world. Welcome to this webinar where the Jindal School of International Affairs of OP Jindal Global University is once again bringing to all of you the key highlights and features of our unique online MA degree in International Relations, Security and Strategy. MAIRSS is a degree that has been making waves for a number of years. We have students from more than 100 countries who have enrolled in this program over the years and who have greatly benefited from the knowledge imparted by our esteemed professors, some of whom are joining us today in this webinar. So I want to kickstart the discussion by bringing in my colleagues and asking them to reflect on this degree program where they have been teaching, and also the utility of this kind of degree program for students like those who are joining this webinar. Let me also take a moment to request all the attendees to please post in the chat box which country you're from. Okay. For example, we have a person who has just sent us greetings from Somalia. So welcome to each and every one of you. Please post the country you belong to in the chat box so we have a better sense of the kind of audience who is here in the webinar, and our professors will accordingly be able to engage with you in the course of this next 1 hour. So thank you. Yes, India, Saudi Arabia, Tunisia, very interesting. Brazil, Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is part of the UK still, although controversially so. Azerbaijan, Belgium, Niger. Wow, that's amazing. Mali. We have an amazing, variety of students from all over the world. Japan, South Sudan, incredible. So please keep sending them in. The UK, Sudan, Tanzania, quite a few from African continent, and we welcome you all. So I will continue to read out the names of the countries you belong to as you're posting. Ethiopia, UAE, Syria, Senegal, wonderful. Saudi Arabia, great. Let me start the discussion now. Guyana, South Africa, thank you, friends. France, we have the former Indian ambassador to France today who's going to be talking to you. Okay, let me start this discussion by sharing a few things about this degree myself, okay, for a moment. When we conceived this master's in international relations, security and strategy about 4 to 5 years ago, our idea was that there is no degree program which is on Coursera or anywhere in the world online that combines the classic international relations, which refers to engagements between states primarily, and also states and non-state actors, what we call transnational relations. These two is one subset. And then we wanted to combine it with one of the core areas of international relations as a discipline, which is international security, which has to do with war and peace and terrorism and counterterrorism and conflict and cooperation and geopolitical competition, these sort of things. And then the third element in it is called strategy, and this has to do with foreign policy strategy of individual countries and how they are adjusting to the international environment. So IRSS is our coinage. There is no degree like this offered by any university anywhere in the world. And we wanted to explicitly offer this because there is a great deal of interest in these subjects among people, not only young people, but of people who are working professionals and people who are also in the field of diplomacy, but also wanting to get into the field of diplomacy, statecraft, national security, intelligence, and so on. So this is our honest effort, and we have actually found enormous interest in this program all around the world, like I said, and people are actually graduating in the hundreds from our program every year. And what we find is that the satisfaction level of the students is very high because they are learning from the topmost minds. We are an Indian university, but we also have Indian as well as international faculty here, and all of them are teaching this degree program. We take great pride in the fact that our alumni are also placed in different positions in prestigious institutions from around the world. Many of them are actually already working, as I said, and are doing this degree program to enhance their knowledge, their skill set, and to potentially either get a promotion within their existing institutions or to make a career leap from one field to another. So we welcome all of you and your interest in this program. And this is the right time for you to think about applying to this program because the admissions are ongoing for the fall semester intake. The classes begin on the 1st of October. Am I right, Devendra? Professor Devendra Sahu?
Yes, 1st October.
1st October, thank you. So 1st October is the start of the new cohort. We are in towards the end of August, so this is the right time for you. We just have about 1 month, 1.5 months before the start of the new session for this program. So I strongly invite you to take a look at the curriculum, and my colleagues will now come in and also talk about what course they have been teaching in this degree program. I myself teach a course in this program called Foreign Policies of Great, Middle, and Small Powers. So we introduce you to the strategy element in the degree program, the IRSS, the third element, which is strategy in this particular course, where we talk about how countries plan and execute their foreign policies based on their relative position in the world order, based on their regional situation, based on their what we call national interests, which are themselves linked to size and position in the international order. So do look up my course. There's a portion of it which is also available as a MOOC, a massive open online course, which is free for anybody. Even those who don't enroll in our degree program can take my MOOC. My last count, I think almost close to 20,000 people from more than 120 countries have taken my MOOC. So please do log in and do the MOOC on Coursera first if you want to get a small taste of the full degree program, which is the MAIRSS. So I'll stop there, and I'll now start inviting my colleagues to come in and talk about what they think about this degree program, the students who they have been mentoring and teaching this degree program, and what exactly they themselves are teaching in terms of courses, specific courses in this degree program. Let me begin with my esteemed colleague, Professor Mohan Kumar, who is a retired Indian diplomat and who last served as India's ambassador to France. And he teaches a very, very important central course in this degree program on diplomacy. Ambassador Mohan Kumar, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dean Sriram Cholia. It's a pleasure to be interacting with the prospective and potential students. Can I take 5 to 8 minutes? Is that okay, Sriram?
Sure, Mohan.
Thank you. So that everyone gets an opportunity, and we hope to have some interaction as well. I don't know how many students we have, but anyway. So very briefly, 3 points for your consideration. One, of course, my course is about diplomatic practice. It's important you know 3 things about diplomats. One, what they do in real life. So other than drinking wine and traveling in Mercedes-Benz, they do a lot of important work, and I think it's important that you guys appreciate what diplomats do, what the embassies do, that is, we call them diplomatic missions, which include embassies and high commissions, the different types of diplomacy, which is political diplomacy, economic diplomacy, cultural diplomacy, diaspora diplomacy, science and technology is used for diplomacy. So those kind of things. And last but not least, an understanding of where diplomacy is going. And that is, post-COVID, we've been able to use technology actually to advance diplomatic interests. But ultimately, there is nothing like pressing the flesh, face-to-face interaction, and so on. Second point is that we do all this so that you understand geopolitics. And I would say it is the geopolitics stupid, if you like. No matter what job you are doing, and even if you are flipping burgers in McDonald's, I would say that if you are in a McDonald's, let's say in West Asia, it may be subject to some movement which actually says, we don't want you here because you are connected to Israel or something. What I'm trying to tell you is that geopolitics impacts economic and commercial activity. No better example than what President Trump has unleashed, the tariff war, for example. So geopolitics is very, very important. It doesn't matter what job you are doing. There was a time in my generation when only diplomats and politicians and decision makers concerned themselves with geopolitics. I want to put it to you that no matter what job you're doing, you ignore geopolitics at your peril. Last but not least, I would say that this course that I teach on diplomatic practice should enable you to interpret events that are going on in the world. So, if President Trump has invited President Putin to Anchorage in Alaska and there is a summit, how do you interpret it depending on your organization? How is it going to impact your organization? The first question you have to ask yourself is, will the summit actually bring peace? Second, what happens to Russia's commercial activity? India, for example, buys Russian oil. Can it continue to buy Russian oil? Or will there be pressure on countries like India because not just because of primary sanctions, but also secondary sanctions? So those kind of things. You don't just look at a summit between President Putin and President Trump and just say they shook hands, they hugged, and they disappeared. There are lots of ramifications, and those ramifications are political, economic, and social, and those need to be understood. Lastly, I would say that we live in a very interesting world where I think it's accepted that the liberal international order is finished and done with. We don't have a new settled international order, but what we are going through is a transition from an old order to a new order. And that period of transition is always a difficult time for countries. It's confusing. And so the attempt of this course, MAIRSS in general, and my course in particular, is to enable you to do three things. One, take note of relevant events. Second, interpret those events. And thirdly, come to your own conclusions about how these events will affect your professional activity, your personal life, and your professional life. I think that is what we aim to do. And I agree with my colleague and senior colleague, Dean Sriram, that I think from speaking from my perspective, I would say it is the most accessible course in the world, frankly. I mean, I have some issues, frankly, with the price that we are offering. And internally, I have tried to argue with my bosses that, listen, I think I'm worth more than this, that kind of argument. But I think Dean Sriram and the Vice Chancellor very strongly feel that accessibility to education is very important. So I want to introduce that angle. The university is doing it not to make money. I can tell you most of us are getting the same salary. We are doing it for love's labor lost. We are all doing it in extra time. But what we are trying to do is that you should not be the person that has to pay $50,000 to do an online course at Stanford or Harvard. This is a course that is so accessible. And I'd like to echo the sentiments of my senior colleague, Dean Sriram. If it was available when I was your age, I would have very happily taken it, frankly. This is the kind of course that we were yearning for. Those of us who are passionate about international relations and geopolitics, it's fantastic that you guys can do it, and you can do it without losing a dime because you will continue to work. And look at my course when you're in a treadmill or in a bathroom or doing I don't know what. But that's fantastic that you're able to learn off the track in that sense. You don't have to give up your jobs. So I would make a strong pitch for anybody who's passionate about geopolitics to take the course. More importantly, I would say, I don't think you can ignore geopolitics today. You simply have no choice but to understand this. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Professor Mohan Kumar. Yeah, ignorance is not bliss. And frankly, You need to all equip yourself with advanced knowledge about international affairs to be able to do well, no matter which field and which type of institution or sector you're all working in or aiming to work in. Let me now bring in another distinguished former diplomat scholar who is Ambassador Jitendranath Mishra. Ambassador Mishra served as India's ambassador to Portugal and Laos, and he specializes in Southeast Asia and teaches a number of courses both on campus and for our online degree, and has had a distinguished career, and he's a scholar and also has literary interests. Let me bring him in. Ambassador Mishra, your thoughts on this MAIRSS degree program of ours, where you have also been teaching, and the type of students we have, and also the benefits of doing this kind of degree for prospective students, what exactly you are teaching, and your thoughts on the current state of IRSS in the world as it stands today.
Thank you very much, Dean, and welcome to the students and good wishes to all my colleagues. First of all, this course is outstanding value. As Professor Kumar has said, he has some issues about the cost and he thinks there should be more. And I won't say more on that. There are different opinions. But, our university, and this bears emphasizing, was ranked by the Times Educational Supplement as #1 in the world for online instruction. So we are technically ahead of others in the game, and substantially I think we are very good in value. About my specific course, it's DPFP 7002, Domestic Politics and Their Impact on Foreign Policy. Now, what I have seen from my former students, and I think I should mention it here, is that they are great in engaging the subject. They're very good. What we need to really understand is how domestic politics shapes foreign policy and diplomacy by extension, and how foreign policy and diplomacy are used to shape domestic opinion, favorable domestic opinion for regime survival. I had a student, I won't take the name, all of them are brilliant, who wrote a brilliant paper on how China sees India, and China's aggressive behavior towards India right from 1959 onwards, and various episodes of various standoffs happened when China was in internal crisis. So we can't say, even if we don't know much about Chinese domestic politics, it's so opaque, we have to accept that it does shape their behavior, and in India's case, sadly, aggressive behavior. And this is the kind of analysis I would like to see. It's not just about a linear narrative about foreign policy and diplomacy and the world order and all that kind of thing. So this is #1. I take case studies to which I'll of course add the tariff issue. How does it impact India's domestic politics, like the farmers? The interests of the farming sector shapes India's response to the tariff issue, and shapes India's red lines on what India can concede and what India can't. We are looking at the Maldives, Canada, we are looking at Pakistan and China, Balakot, Pulwama, and of course the new elements that have come, the 72 hours war, or the 4-day war, or the 5-day war, it's variously called, that happened recently in the month of May. So with Pakistan. But we will be looking at all the issues that concern India. I'm going to speak from an Indian perspective unabashedly, because I'm speaking from India. I want to give you a perspective of how India sees domestic politics shaping foreign policy and vice versa, looking at it from New Delhi and using case studies where India is one of the countries being discussed. Professor Kumar mentioned the transition to the new world order. That's a separate issue, but I would like to just add something. Are we seeing a Thucydides trap? Now, there is a lot of commentary, bipartisan commentary in the United States, criticizing the current government for its extremely hard line towards India on tariffs as damaging 4 decades of a relationship with China. You know, the Thucydides trap is the United States is the existing superpower, China is challenging it. But I would give an alternate perspective, and this is where domestic politics comes in, which is Kautilya. Kautilya was the great Indian strategic thinker, and he's now accepted as very mainstream throughout the world, much better known now. There doesn't have to be a Thucydides trap. India's policy is concentric circles. You know, your neighbor is not your friend, your neighbor's neighbor, and your neighbor's 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 neighbor, like the United States is your friend. So it makes sense for India to cultivate the US and the US to cultivate India to shape the narrative if we are leading towards conflict. And are we leading towards a bipolar world order? It may have already happened. I don't know. So that's all I'll say at this stage. And I'll say, most welcome to my course. You'll enjoy it. We'll do a lot of case studies and we'll have a lot of fun.
Thank you, Ambassador Mishra. Students, the link between domestic and international is, of course, very, very crucial. And we even have terms like intermestic for events and issues and phenomena that crisscross domestic and international. These are, of course, artificial divisions that we have created, that international is separate from domestic. The real point is these two are closely linked. They're all part of this larger phenomenon called politics. So whether it is domestic politics or international politics, they are interlinked, and it's worth focusing on and understanding and reflecting on it. Now, let me turn to other colleagues who are with us here. I want to invite my senior colleague, Professor Jyoti Patania. She is an expert on security and geopolitics in South Asia, and also works on war and peace and conflict studies. Professor Patania has written a very important book on Pakistan, our neighboring country, recently, and is a noted scholar in this field. Over to you, Professor Patania. MAIRSS, what do you think students can benefit, and what have you been teaching, and how valuable can this kind of degree be for students of different walks of life who are aiming to become specialists or experts or professionals in the field of international studies?
Yeah, thank you, Dean, and namaskar to everybody, and hello to everyone who has joined us from different parts of the world. To begin with, I'm very excited to be here with everyone, and I just want to see all smiles on everybody's faces, and that's a good way to begin. Yeah, that's really nice. So this is what we do in my course also. We try and resolve conflicts between countries, leave alone individuals. So the course that I teach, first of all, to answer Dean's question, everybody has spoken much about it, the relevance of the course in contemporary times. So I'm not going to speak more about that. I'm going to hit on directly to the course that I teach. And I teach a very pertinent course in today's time, especially, and that is negotiating and resolving international conflicts. As you can see, the conflicts have risen tremendously all over the world. The Global Peace Index also has shown an increase in the number of conflicts in the world today. So what do we do about them? How do we resolve them? Is a resolution possible? What and how do you negotiate? Are there any negotiating strategies and skills? Yes, they are. And this is what I teach in the course. Academic, it may be, but we do it with case studies. And so we do have live simulations and workshops in our live sessions, which will give, more knowledge and enhance our knowledge base. Apart from that, what do you get when you do this course? Well, apart from learning the various techniques, the skills, and conflict resolution practices, especially, like I said, the role played by maybe diplomats who work as negotiation strategists, maybe UN observer missions, which work as negotiation strategists, maybe the locals of the conflict who work as negotiation strategists. So this course begins by introducing the concept of conflict. Is conflict dispute same or different? What is the anomalies in them? What is the etymology of conflict? What are the different types of conflict? So on and so forth. Special emphasis in this course is given to the Indian conflict resolution techniques, skills, and practices, which we need to unwind. India's rich civilizational ethos is something which is always recurring. And if we keep that in mind, and within the discipline of conflict resolution and peace studies, I think it is time that we learn more and more into our civilizational peace techniques also. Are there some? Yes, they are. So these are few things which we'll do in the course. Of course, we also analyze the gendered perspective of conflict and resolution, and also the United Nations roles in mitigating conflicts, especially the role of the UN peacekeeping missions. Then we do the first, the second, the third, the fourth generation peacekeeping missions. How are the peacekeeping missions, program profile also changing with the changes in the conflict? So the geopolitical changes and dynamism is also reflected and impacted on the UN peacekeeping mission's role and functionalities. So what is the course objective? A, you analyze international conflicts, its types, its etymology. B, we describe various techniques, skills, and negotiation strategies. 3, we do Indian-specific conflict resolution techniques, so the role played on Mahatma Gandhi's ahimsa, non-violence, so on and so forth. Third, gendered perspective on conflict resolution and UN's role in mitigating conflicts. What do you do when you finish with this course? Well, there are various avenues opened, whether it's getting into journalism, whether it is getting into the consulate of Ministry of External Affairs as consultants, whether it is writing in your as research papers or in academics, you want to go in for further studies. This particular course is going to enhance your international relations knowledge power. So, because it encapsulates various subjects, not only peace, but also security, also foreign policy, also strategy. So it is an all comprehensive, all encompassing, and a holistic package to study international relations, and it will certainly be an asset in your CV. I think I'll rest my case there. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Patania. Yeah, conflicts are on the rise. So definitely this particular course in the degree program, its relevance is also on the rise. We would have wished that we don't have to worry about conflicts, but the reality is that it is a more conflict-prone world today than it was even 5 years ago. So students, I don't have to, and many of you come from parts of the world which are also grappling with many local and regional conflicts yourselves. So you know what I'm talking about. So learning these methods and techniques is going to be very, very valuable for your career, your communities, and your societies. Okay, now I want to move to my colleague, Professor Tatiana Belousova. She's from Russia and teaches a variety of courses on international relations and also Russian foreign policy and the former Soviet countries and so on. And as you very well know, there is a raging war in that part of the world for the last more than 3.5 years. And there are frantic efforts right now to try and bring this war to a close, but we are not at all sure as to which direction it is going to go. So there are a lot of uncertainties and a lot of confusion also about different actors and their varied interests and whether we can see any convergence of interest there. But let me request Professor Belousova to come in and talk about what she's teaching and also the relevance of this kind of degree program for the students who are joining the webinar. Over to you, Tatiana, please.
Thank you, Professor Cholia. Just let me start with what you have already highlighted, and then I will proceed with what exactly I have been teaching and the utility of this program. So recently, we witnessed, like you rightly mentioned, we witnessed an intensification of diplomatic efforts attempting to bring an end to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Though some may view this as the beginning of the peace settlement in Ukraine, the statement "no deal in Ukraine until there is a deal" depicts the reality. Early in February, during a similar event, I was talking about the Russia-US rapprochement reverse Kissinger approach, and possibly improved economic relations between Russia and US. This did not materialize, partly because Trump became impatient and frustrated with Putin's stubbornness, and partly because the Trump's unpredictable character altogether. In other words, we should not be overly impressed by the rolled out red carpets and other symbolic niceties in Alaska. There are views that the United States struggles to find leverage both over Russia and Ukraine, but the US president still insists on being a peacemaker, and international public is expected to admire his non-existent plan. In Ukraine, where many powers intersect and some even collide, Trump's limitations as a statesman became all too apparent. This means that a peace agreement in Ukraine is still out of reach, unfortunately. The bilateral format plays into Vladimir Putin's imperial mindset, creating visuals of great power parity and evoking historical comparisons to the Yalta and Munich conferences, where smaller nations' fates were decided for them. The two-man summit framing also sets up the two nations as great powers, determining the fate of lesser powers. As Stacy Coddard wrote recently for the Foreign Affairs, quote unquote, the Trump's vision of the world is not one of great power competition, but of great power collusion, a concert system akin to the one that shaped Europe during the 19th century. What Trump wants is a world managed by strong men who work together to impose a shared vision of order on the rest of the world. For example, after a call with Xi Jinping earlier this year, Trump wrote on Truth Social, quote unquote, we will solve many problems together. We discussed balancing trade, fentanyl, TikTok, and many other subjects. President Xi and I will do everything possible to make the world more peaceful and safe, end of quote, end of quote. The new concept of powers would mean organizing the world into distinct spheres of influence where a great power has the right to practice unbridled dominance. But of course, it is their wishful thinking. In the logic of a contemporary concert, it would be reasonable, for example, for the United States to allow Russia to permanently seize Ukrainian territory to prevent what Moscow views as a threat to the regional security. Similarly, Putin's view on multipolarity implies that influential global powers and their leaders should hold discussions between themselves on how to reshape the world. But in today's world, an international hierarchy would be difficult to sustain because smaller countries dismiss the notion that great powers have any special rights to dictate a world order. In this sense, the concept of 19th century might offer a viable framework for a multipolar world, but getting there would require less collusion and more collaboration. In other words, and I'm about to end up here, in other words, it is about a different narrative in which great powers act in concert to advance not merely their own interests, but broader ones as well. Meantime, Trump has given, as we all know, Trump has given the so-called carte blanche to his friend Netanyahu to do what he wants in Gaza. As Trump shifted his focus to Ukraine for the moment, he probably believes that resolving this conflict, Ukrainian conflict, would bring him a much desired Nobel Peace Prize. As we all know, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza has now reached the peak of ethnic cleansing as Palestinians are now pushed away from their territories by Israelis. Yeah, and just a couple of more sentences. Countries like Barbados Island, Jamaica, Norway, and Spain did acknowledge a Palestinian state in the spring of 2024. Next month, during the UN General Assembly, Australia, Canada, France, and perhaps even the UK intend to recognize a Palestinian state as well. But in the current circumstances, their decisions might end up being just symbolic gestures, not being able to bring any meaningful outcomes. Now regarding, so this is just briefly, I just wanted to bring this overview or share my perspectives on today's world, or where we stand right now. And finally, a few words about my role in the MAIRSS program. I teach the course on the new Cold War between the US and China, US and China. Before classes, so this is how it has been going. Before classes, lots of relevant materials are shared with students. And during classes, our discussions cover not only the US-China relations, but other geopolitical issues as well. For example, I remember during the previous semester, one student from Botswana told us during the class, why not we should focus more on the issues on the African continent. And this is what we did, because at that time there was a rift between Cyril Ramaphosa and Donald Trump, and we shifted our attention to that particular geopolitical rift as well. From diverse social and cultural backgrounds and from different parts of the world, importantly, students have a lot to share with their peers, bringing their unique perspectives to classroom discussions. And again, in terms of utility, broadening horizons, learning not only from the course instructors, but also from the classmates, to obtain skills in problem solving and decision making. I personally think that IR, international relations, is one of the fields where you can learn how to be a real critical thinker. And these skills are helpful in many professional capacities, because the world really needs people with these skills who can come out with some novelty ideas on how we can coexist peacefully on this planet. I would stop here. Thank you so much, and I look forward to welcoming our prospective students during the classes. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Belisova. Yeah, a lot to think about when it comes to the ongoing conflict in Eastern Europe, but also at a broader level, these concepts like deterrence, like balance of power, like security dilemma, divisible security, indivisible security. They're all these, very, very fundamental ideas that are actually appearing even in these ongoing frantic diplomatic negotiations. So security guarantees, now right now that's the most happening term that we are hearing. So there's so much students that you can pick up from this course and then join the dots with the world news that is happening around us, and you can really better understand what's happening if you learn about these concepts at a deeper level through our professors. Okay, let me now invite my colleague, Professor Pooja Bhatt. She heads our Center for Security Studies herself and focuses on Indo-Pacific security and has written a lot about what's happening in the Indian Ocean and the Indo-Pacific region, including maritime security. So please, Professor Bhatt, please come and tell us what you have been teaching and also how relevant that is for prospective students of the MAIRSS program.
Thank you so much, Dean Jolia, and good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone who are joining from wherever in the world you are. My esteemed colleagues have basically given you a broad overview of the course that we are going to look at when we are doing the MAIRSS program. In this course, I teach a course, in this entire course, I teach a course on intelligence, war, and weapons. And this is a course I would want to introduce you as something that presently over 110 wars are going on at different levels. And each of you representing each of your nation, each of the regions are seeing wars or some kind of conflict happening at different levels. And we have heard about conflicts just now. So in this regard, I think the course that we have curated in intelligence, war, and weapons, which you will be, when you'll be going through the videos, it is recorded by Dr. Pankaj Kumar Jha, who's absolutely a brilliant scholar, who was a brilliant scholar by himself, but I'll be taking the online classes for the same. To introduce the course, I just wanted to broadly mention the relevance of this course and why we are doing intelligence, war, and weapons as a course within the larger framework of international relations and security studies. Because throughout the history, wars have been shaped nations, technology, and even the way we think about security. Behind every weapon, every battle, there are some invisible factors which determine the outcome. Strategy and intelligence are few of them. The ability to gather information, to interpret it, use it under a strategic framework wins wars even before the first shot is fired. So therefore, to understand how strategy works, how intelligence works, how the weapon systems determine the nation's capability to fight a war or not, is very crucial at the moment. And that's what this course exactly teaches you. The program is designed to take you through the entire fascinating interplay of technology, strategy, espionage, wars, weapons. And we start by learning the idea of strategy. Why is strategy important? What are strategic cultures of different countries? What are the components of strategic culture? Why certain countries fight wars differently from others, and the outcomes actually depend upon that. We start with that. Then we also talk about how intelligence agencies actually operate across the different countries, how their operational patterns are, how they impact the national security apparatus. We also talk about the innovations of weaponries and weapon systems that have actually shifted the balance of power over the decades, over the centuries. And in the present century, when the AI, quantum computing, cyber, and new technologies have come, the warfare is reached a different level. And so therefore, this entire course tries to teach you in 8 weeks of time the entire fascinating insights in each of these concepts, as well as the operational aspect of it. What makes this course unique is not only the idea of what. It teaches you why wars happen, how do they take place, what are the scale of war fighting that might take place, what are the dynamics that under which the war fighting might take place. And this requires an interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary understanding of history, political science, international relations, technology, strategic studies. So this is what we are trying to teach you in this course. And therefore, this course actually applies for a broad range of students, whether they are from international relations, whether they are defense studies, whether you are interested in journalism, whether you're interested in becoming a diplomat of the future. So across the field, professional interested in each of these fields would find this course very structured and very enlightening for their knowledge. In a sense, overview of this course is, if you go through the course, you'll start from the conceptual level to the operational level, and then also finding out the different ways of interpreting how wars can happen, why wars would happen, and how different components would interact with each other. And this will help us interpret the wars and war fighting in a more nuanced manner. With this, I will rest my case, and I will hopefully look most of you for my class in the coming days, and we'll get to interact more on the course. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bhatt. Yeah, there's no degree program that I know of this kind where there is a full-fledged course on intelligence. So students, we have really put together something that is so critical into formulation of the national interest, as Professor Bhatt is saying, which is intelligence inputs, intelligence, the ways and means which intelligence organizations and agencies have. These are the kind of things you're going to learn if you enroll in this program. So it is a big eye opener. Okay. Now, last but not least, let me request my colleague, Professor Shrabana Barua, to come in. She heads our Center for Southeast Asia Studies and focuses on South and Southeast Asia, and has been writing and thinking about Indian foreign policy vis-a-vis this sub-region of Asia for a long time. And over to you, Professor Barua. What are you teaching, and what do you think is the relevance of your course to the degree, and the relevance of the degree as a whole for all these prospective students?
Thank you, Dean Cholia. I hope I'm audible to all. Good morning, good evening to everybody, including my colleagues who I did not greet earlier. But let me dive straight to 4 points: what, why, how, and who. What is the course on? I think largely we've already understood what the subjects that are being offered by all the professors who have spoken. Some of you must have already seen the manual that's there. What I teach, however, is similar to what Professor Patania and Professor Bhatt has spoken already, something to do with military deterrence and conflict in the 21st century. It also begins, the recorded part of it begins from France in the Napoleonic age, goes on to touch upon the different wars, and especially World War I, World War II, and moves on to the 21st century through the period of Cold War, of course. So in short, my course is about military deterrence and conflict in the 21st century. So what part of it I can expand more, but largely let me also specify two more things within this. One is the fact that it is to do with military deterrence and not deterrence of all kinds. Meaning that deterrence itself can be of various kinds. These are concepts that you will learn. It is to do with deterrence, including post-nuclear world and pre-nuclear world strategy per se. So in short, it is a combination of what others have spoken about, but yet it is different because each of our courses may sound similar, but they also have distinctive material within them. Some of them have a good mix of concepts which we may not know, whether we have a degree in IR or not is irrelevant. I think whether you are an engineer, a military person, a officer from different forces across the world, you can still understand concepts which remain relevant throughout the world, I believe. Also, the practice of it, a combination of theory and practice. The practice of it, we always try and discuss within the live sessions. Whichever country you are from, whichever part of the world you are from, you are able to choose your own way of presenting your papers, writing your dissertation, which means that none of the courses are so bound that you cannot break out from India and its neighborhood. It applies to, I think, most of the world, no matter which part of the world you are from. So largely, that is the what part of my speech. The other is who gains from it. I think I've had students who are within the range of 2025, but interestingly also last semester, I had somebody who was on the verge of retirement from a small country in Africa, the Swaziland, a military officer. So point is there is no age bar in it. And I think the young join it because they want degrees. The mid careers join it because they want to enhance their or get a promotion. But even the old, they join it because they want knowledge. And I think this is one of the courses that give you that. It's got a deep range. So who can do it? I think there is no bar in that per se. How do we go about it? The first part of it, I think Professor Pooja Bhatt has mentioned, there is a recorded part of it, which means that these are recordings that will be available to you that you can hear and access from any part of the world at any time once the session opens up. You can repeatedly hear them out. So these are the static recorded parts. And the other part is the live sessions where professors come in and then engage with you. So the how part is equally important, I believe, because if we in live courses, sometimes if you miss a class, it's not that you've missed out on everything that's there. There is still material that is available to you that you don't really lose out on if by any chance you're not able to attend something. The last bit is why should we do it? I think ample has been said about that. But to my mind, there are again 2 or 3 reasons. Firstly, this is one of the courses that has a good mix of policy makers who have been at the job for decades and have come to now teach you. There are people who have gotten their academic degrees very much from the best parts of the world, the best knowledge, and they've learned from the best themselves. They are PhDs who have come and they've learned and studied for decades, which means they can give you a lot of theoretical backgrounds and understandings and concepts on why things are happening today. And the other is also because, you also have a good sense of a classroom where you have friends from across the globe, which is it's such a rarity that you could see when people have written on the screens which part of the world they are from. So despite being in a class, the best part is to interact with your peers, because I think that's one learning method that we can't give you. So that I think is a big plus as to why you should join the course from wherever, whichever part of the world. Because no matter how much we teach you, somebody has written they want to join because they want to be the best IR person in their country. We can't give that to you for sure. But what we can give you is that platter where you could gain the best from so many options and then obviously choose your path. I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Barua. Military deterrence, friends, that itself has broken down many parts of the world, and that's why we are seeing major wars. And maybe the concept of deterrence itself needs to be revisited because it doesn't seem to be sufficient. Maybe we need the broader peace studies and all those, deeper and more philosophical ideas to come to the fore, because the concept of deterrence is failing, but still it's an essential element of the international security architecture. So you can learn about this, all these things from Professor Barua when you enroll in this degree program. Okay, I want to take up a few questions now. Our audience has been asking a number of questions, and Professor Devendra Sahu, who is the dean for our online degrees, has been answering some of these under the Q&A box. But I still want to take up a couple of questions which are general and which have been recurring. One is about the scheduling of the classes and how flexible these are. Let me state it for everyone's attention that the bulk of this program is pre-recorded videos and assignments that are already recorded and ready for you to take. So there are also some live sessions that happen parallel to the pre-recorded videos, and our professors actually engage with you in these live sessions to elaborate upon what you have already watched in the pre-recorded videos. So and to also answer your queries and to have general discussions about all these things, the kind of things that we've been talking about today, the state of the world. So you please, rest assured, no matter if you're working, it's not going to intrude on your work time. You can you can watch the videos at night if you want, or early in the mornings or on weekends or whenever you can. And it is quite flexible. The degree program does not require you to set aside specific times in every day to attend classes, quote unquote. There are no such thing as classes in an online program, really. You have content and you have live sessions. There is no such thing as a class like what you do in the on-campus in-person degrees. So that's one I wanted to emphasize. The other is, there are some questions about the accreditation and about financial aid. On financial aid, let me say that, and Professor Sahu has also answered this. This program, Ambassador Mohan Kumar was actually even asking whether we should actually raise the tuition fee, because the quality of the inputs you get from this program is so high that yes, we should. But then on the other hand, we want it to be accessible to all. $3,500 for a full degree program like this, which lasts for 1 year. I think it's what we call like a bargain basement kind of a price. Most of the online degrees in IR being offered by Western universities range from $40,000 to $50,000. Online degree programs, I'm not talking about on campus. They're so expensive. So we already have kept in mind the equity question, and therefore we're trying to make it easily accessible to people from every part of the world and from every walk of life. So the answer is no. We don't have further fee concession over and above what is already a highly subsidized program, but it is accessible to all. And I must say, $3,500 for a 1-year master's degree, I think it's a no-brainer. You should take it. There are questions about the prerequisites. And again, I will simply say, you must have a bachelor's in any discipline. It doesn't matter whether you have done science or engineering or social sciences or humanities. I know many of our students have even prior master's degrees and are doing the second master's with us. But the minimum is to have a bachelor's degree from a recognized institution from whichever country you belong to or wherever you've been studying, wherever you've been staying. So, and the admissions specifics, I will not go into in this because they're quite clear. If you look at the brochure and if you visit the website of the MAIRSS program on Coursera, you'll get all the information about which link to click and where to fill the form and the essay that you have to write as it's the exam, the entrance exam, quote unquote, for this degree program, and the method by which we do the selection of students. There's a question about fee and whether it can be paid in multiple installments. Yes, it's not all upfront. So there are a lot of things we have done, keeping in mind the different backgrounds that our students come from. Like I said, we have, I think, now close to 120 countries represented in this program. And I will not be exaggerating that maybe the day will come when all 193 UN member states, plus some territories like Taiwan and others which are not UN member states, I think 196 or 197, we may have all of them in this program. And that's how popular it is becoming. So you are going to be joining a program that already has a pedigree, already has a background and a large number of alumni running into hundreds every year. And so there's a peer group you can also learn from. There are a lot of innovative online engagement methods that we use, applications through which you can interact with your fellow classmates as well, with the course mates, and also with the professors. It's a very open learning environment that we create. I want to request our Dean for Online Programs, Professor Debendra Sahu, to also come in and maybe say a few words about the MAIRSS and the way forward for those who are interested in joining this before we close the session. Over to you, Professor Sahu.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you all my colleagues for today. And we have covered all the bases. And particularly, I wanted to touch upon the flexibility part, which Rabana and you already did. But I just wanted to say that it's not only about learning from these ambassadors and professors, but also peer-to-peer learning. We have Slack channels where, each cohort have almost about students from more than 50 countries and from diverse background, military, civil services, UN bodies, other multilateral bodies, media, risk analysts, like academics themselves. And the kind of discussions that I get a luxury of moderating all those, and the kind of amazing discussions these students have in each cohort is really is a learning experience for me. Just want to add on about the flexibility part. The program is for 1 year is a 1 year master's degree program, but it has the flexibility to suit the working professionals to go with a slower track, in which case they can complete this degree not in 1 year, but in 1.5 years or 2 years without any addition in any in the fee component. So like some students, they pass the 2 year the master's degree program in 2 years without any additional fee, with same $3,500. With regard to the application process, I have already mentioned that in the chat box, but the application process is very simple. Uploading a few documents and one essay about a significant world event and how their career aspiration is in sync with our program. We do not charge any application fee. A few dates to remember: the admission will be open for students with offer letter until 30th September. The classes starts 1st October and the onboarding starts from 1st September 2025. And you all can write to online@jsu.edu.in for any other concerns you might have. And I hope to see some of you in, like most of you in the next cohort. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sahu. So friends, we are almost out of time, but I just want to emphasize one thing. This is a stepping stone to, like I said, to a career progression or a career shift. Some of you are asking if it will also be a stepping stone to a PhD degree. Of course it is. It's a internationally recognized master's degree. 120 countries, students have been doing this degree program already. So you don't have to worry about whether it will be quote unquote accredited or accepted. It is accepted in most parts of the world. It's on Coursera, which is the world's topmost digital education platform. It is being offered by Jindal Global University, which is, as my colleagues have pointed out, has the #1 ranking in online education as per the Times Higher Education. So you don't have to really worry or be anxious about credentials. We have them all, and all you need to do is enroll in this program and shine in it and do well for yourselves. And do this also peer-to-peer learning that Professor Sahu is mentioning. Is not only learning from the professors, but also from your fellow course mates and classmates. It's an incredible batch. The cohorts that come in every year are incredible in themselves, and I have had the privilege of meeting some of them recently at our graduation ceremony. Those of you who want to have the India experience and come to receive your degrees in person can also do it next July or next August. We will have the ceremony that will be relevant for those who are enrolling in the coming months. So, come September, October, we expect your applications to come in sooner, and then we expect to welcome you to the opening classes and the opening sessions. I want to thank all our colleagues for sparing the valuable time and for continuing to teach so dedicatedly in the MAIRSS program. It's thanks to these great professors that this program has really reached this pinnacle and is doing so well. So, friends, let me close by saying our doors are open. You just need to submit the application, fulfill the formalities, and come in so that you become part of this great learning sorority or fraternity. Thank you so much. Have a good time. Let's keep our eyes on international relations, international security, and strategies of countries, and let's learn about them in a systematic way through this MA program. Thank you so much for joining, and good luck, and see you, friends. See you in our classrooms, in our virtual classrooms very soon on Coursera. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.